You Being Served kept a delighted audience in smutty innuendo for an incredible and appropriate 69 episodes.
It was pre-watershed filth.
Well, if I'm not home on the stroke of 6, my pussy goes mad.
Giggles and laughs and all the innuendos that went on that you'd never get away with now.
But despite the show's huge popularity with the audience, it never really tickled the BBC's fancy.
Don't think the BBC wanted them to do it. That's not the type of thing we do.
We'll reveal the series of extraordinary events which kept TV's most outrageous sitcom running for 13 years.
The scenery's been destroyed. And he said, no, it hasn't. It's in my barn.
The moments that threatened the cast's incredible bond.
There was always a little bit of sort of vying as to who would be top billing.
The off-screen tragedies behind the on-screen laughs.
Wendy didn't want to be alone, so she rushed into this first marriage, but the second one absolutely rotten to the core.
And the behind-the-scenes secrets that have been buried for decades.
And after 44 years, nobody knew it was my fault until now.
Tonight, we rifle through some drawers to uncover the shocking secrets and scandals of the show the BBC couldn't kill.
I mean, you're not filming this.
It's 1972, and Britain is suffering through a painful miners' strike, mass power cuts, and the government declaring a national state of emergency. And events on the international stage also take a tragic turn.
However, the drama of the athletic competition is soon overwhelmed by a calamity unfolding in the compound which houses Israel's team. Figures seen in the windows by gathering throngs are those of Arab guerrillas holding Israeli athletes hostage.
8th of September, 1972, the Munich Olympics were going on. And there's a group called Black September. 8 members of Black September kidnapped members of the Israeli Olympics team, killing 2 of them, tragically. So the BBC coverage of the Olympics was curtailed for about 3 or 4 days.
With the wall-to-wall Olympics footage now cancelled, suddenly there was a completely unexpected and large gap in the schedules. With hours of blank screens to fill, a resourceful member of staff at the BBC found a tape that had been languishing, unbroadcast on the shelves. It was from the Comedy Playhouse series of pilots, although not one which had been deemed good enough to show.
And they were desperately trying to find what we've got on the shelf. Oh, that'll do.
That tape was the pilot of Are You Being Served? And that day was only the first of many unlikely triumphs for this extraordinary sitcom.
And that's what enabled the first episode, the pilot episode, which the BBC weren't even keen on originally showing, to be shown because they had no other programmes, because the Olympics weren't on.
On the 8th of September 1972, a tired and shell-shocked country got their first glimpse through those malfunctioning lift doors at Grace Brothers department store. A larger-than-life workplace that sold much-needed good times, along with some cosy seaside humour.
The upper part should be obscure.
I'm sorry, Mr. Granger.
How long have you been with Grace Brothers, Mr. Lucian?
1 month, Mr. Granger. I'm still sort of feeling my way around, as you might say.
Although a certain famous catchphrase was yet to be coined.
Are you free, Mr. Humphrey?
At the moment, yes.
Sometimes you can see TV as escapism, and I guess that's what it was, for people to kind of get away from things that were happening, because there were some dreadful things happening in society in terms of, you know, the 3-day week, the miners' strike, and there was many strikes within that period.
The audience loved it, but despite the pilot's healthy viewing figures, the straight-laced BBC was still far from convinced about committing to a series.
Don't think the BBC wanted them to do it. They wanted Thames to do it. Yeah, it's like on the buses or something. It's not the type of thing we do.
ITV was doing great business with On the Buses, full of cringingly inappropriate bawdiness and crumpet.
She's a cracker.
You're all right. She's a right dolly bird, isn't she?
Here, come on, let's get up the canteen.
Save her a seat, eh?
Yeah.
But that kind of thing wasn't very BBC. Luckily for us, the show was co-written and produced by David Croft of Dad's Army fame, who was held in very high regard at the BBC. And lounging like the legend that he was in the literal corridors of power, he was in the right place at the right time, when the new head of light entertainment, Bill Cotton, discovered that another sitcom wasn't going to be ready in time.
The thing about David Croft, he was very thick with the BBC. He'd been working for the corporation for 10, 15 years. A very safe pair of hands.
Croft helpfully pointed out that a series of Are You Being Served was cheap and could be ready in 6 weeks. With the magic words uttered, the Beeb was on board. Well, almost, as John Inman himself recalled with surprising candour in this 1999 interview.
David went to see Bill Cotton, who was then head of Light Entertainment, and he said, oh, yes. Yes, well, we'll have some of those, but get rid of the puff. And David, and thank you, David, said, if the puff goes, I go.
A hugely offensive comment today, but also a potentially catastrophic decision that would have cost the show its most iconic character and most famous catchphrase.
I'm free.
So it was purely because BBC and Bill Cotton in particular trusted David Croft so much that they got the series.
Alongside David Croft was writing partner Jeremy Lloyd, who had come to him with the idea of Are You Being Served in the first place. He'd just returned to the UK after a spell performing in a bizarre psychedelic American sketch show.
He was in America at the time, the late 60s, early 70s, in Ronan Martin's Laugh-In.
Jeremy! Yes, lovely hen. My uncle used to work in a pop factory that made toy guns. I think that's funny. What happened to him? He blew his cork.
He came back from America, desperate to try and get some scripts commissioned as a writer.
Lloyd had returned from the States to make a go of his ill-fated marriage to Joanna Lumley, but he was struggling to find any work as a writer back in the UK.
Jeremy Lloyd was frustrated, sort of smoking after smoking after smoking, cigarette, and pulling his hair out, saying, well, what do they want? What do they want from me, you know? They've had, sitcom, they've had police, they've had buses, they've had hospitals, they've had factory floors. What do they want?
Luckily, Lloyd's wife, Joanna, spotted an opening, remembering the amusing tales he'd told her of one of his former jobs.
He wanted to do it about the gentleman's outfitters, because Jeremy, years before, had worked as a salesman at Simpson's in Piccadilly. And it was his then wife, Joanna Lumley, that gave the idea to Jeremy to write something about a department store.
So the pilot was shown, the series written, Mr. Humphrey stayed, and with viewing figures of 12 million, by Series 2, the BBC undeniably had a hit on their hands.
It was a comedy phenomenon. It became one of the biggest shows on British television, certainly one of the most loved shows.
But despite its enormous popularity with the audience, a series of secret BBC memos throughout the 1970s revealed the BBC remained, well, let's just say, tepid about the show, with Bill Cotton saying the second series was doing what it had been placed in the schedule to do, and later that the show would be better if it was twice as funny and half as smutty.
It was funny. It was a studio-based miniature carry-on film, most eps, really.
It seems the attitude of the BBC wouldn't have been a surprise to the cast, as Nicholas Smith, also known as Mr. Rumbold, frankly revealed in 2010.
It goes back to the general distaste that the BBC had for Are You Being Served? David Croft had to fight every year to get them to, oh, couldn't you get Thames to do it? It's a bit down market for the BBC and so on, you know.
Coming up, we reveal the secrets behind the show's infamous feline innuendos.
I was the first one to show Mrs. Slocum's pussy.
And the behind-the-scenes gaffes that nearly derailed the show.
It was a complicated 30-second sequence, which sometimes went horribly wrong.
It's 1979. Margaret Thatcher has become Britain's first female Prime Minister. Russia invades Afghanistan. The Walkman is launched. And the unsuspecting British public are about to get their first glimpse of one of the most iconic characters in television history. It might have been exactly the kind of lowbrow innuendo the BBC didn't like, but the show's now 16 million regular viewers were very fond of Mrs. Slocum's much-loved and proudly talked-about pet.
It's a wonder I'm here at all, you know. My pussy got soaking wet. I had to dry it out in front of the fire before I left.
You know, if you're thinking of the smutty interpretation of pussy, then you're awful, outrageous person. You shouldn't be thinking that at all. What we're talking about is a cat.
And in what's probably a world exclusive, we've tracked down the man who finally brought the famous feline to life.
I was the first one to show Mrs. Slocum's pussy. I believe actually it was called Tiddles.
Visual effects maestro Matt Irvin has agreed to spill the on-set secrets behind the long-running gag.
We got a cat basket. And inside, my colleague Charlie Lum, he fitted a motor. And out the front, we can see it's been cut away there, we fitted a tail.
And here's that expert craftsmanship on show.
Mrs. Slocum, there is a strict rule that staff may not bring pets to the store.
Well, you know how clumsy those removal men are. I'm not having them handling my pussy.
Actress Molly Sugden clearly had no qualms delivering the raunchy humour on screen. Off-screen, it made things painfully awkward for her young family.
Are You Being Served was in that era when things weren't politically correct. You could have the double entendre, and some of them were actually quite risque. And, you know, as you can imagine, I was, first of all at primary school when Mum started, and then actually Are You Being Served went right the way through, going to secondary school, O-levels, A-levels, actually joining the army. And all through that period, myself and my brother had to pretend that we hadn't become aware of what certain jokes were. For instance, the pussy jokes.
What, you mean these kind of perfectly innocent references?
Oh, Mr. Rumbold, I hope this isn't going to take long. My pussy's been locked up for 8 hours. I'm afraid it's just not convenient.
For Mum, it became increasingly difficult as well. And it was one of those things where both parties had to pretend to be stupid and had to pretend not to understand what the joke was, both knowing that the other party probably did understand the joke. So it was one of those that really wasn't mentioned at home.
The BBC may have written off the show as downmarket and smutty, but an audience research report from 1974 found that Are You Being Served was considered good, clean fun and a good laugh by most, with audiences enjoying the comedy's British seaside lineage. The audience couldn't get enough, and as the series went on, Are You Being Served kept on giving it to them harder and harder. Oh, sorry, it's catching. But, I mean, look at this, really?
Mrs. Slocum.
Captain Peacock, I do not respond to any man's finger.
Yeah, it was pre-watershed filth. It was just innuendo, double entendre.
It was full of innuendo, which is the comedy of the day, innuendo.
I think innuendo is glorious. It's the bedrock of British comedy, really.
So how on earth did the show get away with it? Well, Lloyd and Croft were artists of an old comedy writing trick, the self-cleaning joke.
Before we go any further, Mr. Rumbold, Miss Brahms and I would like to complain about the state of our drawers. They're a disgrace.
Your what, Mrs. Slocum?
Our drawers, they're sticking. It's always the same in damp weather.
As seen here, the self-cleaning trick meant the cast became experts in delivering very rude lines in a perfectly innocent way.
They sent up a man who put beeswax on them, but that made it worse.
If you're old enough to get the joke, you're old enough. And if you're not, you don't get the joke.
It's one of them, your mum and dad laugh and you go, why are you laughing? And they go, oh, I don't know, it doesn't matter. We'll tell you when you're older.
In fact, the double meanings were everywhere, if you knew where to look.
I don't know if it's true, but I figured it was mainly Jeremy's doing. But everybody had a name that suited the character. Spooner was a stirrer, I figured. And there was Mrs. Slocum, read what you will.
If you think about some of the names, Mrs. Slocum, Inman. Oh, no, that's his, no, that's not his, he's Mr. Humphrey's. Inman. Sorry, that's his real name, isn't it? That's a bit of a faux pas, isn't it? I thought that was deliberate.
As the show went on, the writers became more confident in ever more smutty jokes, like this risque visual gag.
Gather round, everybody. The flexi-bra model has arrived.
One episode I remember that my mum and dad roared at, and I did too, was a flashing Father Christmas. It was like a mannequin that flashed you.
In this episode, the store's electronic Santa was supposed to open his arms in a friendly embrace, but a technical error led to much more near-the-knuckle humour.
Ho, 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 little boy. Have I got a surprise for you?
We roared in our house at that episode. Roared, you know.
TV critics had also spotted the smut factor being turned up to 11. In 1979, the Evening Standard noted that the show was pandering to the lowest common denominator. And The Guardian's TV listing described it as increasingly sleazy. Could it be the clips of elderly men gawping at scantily clad nurses?
That's right. Now, this is the battery for the spare charger, and it plugs in here.
But as the show got raunchier, families still gathered round their sets in their millions. And the character that quickly became the fans' favourite was the most outrageous staff member of all, menswear maverick Mr. Humphreys, with his iconic catchphrase and unmistakable walk.
Can help you. Mr. Humphrey.
I'm free.
Come here, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
John Inman would get letters from around the world, from mainly women who wanted to mother Mr. Humphreys.
The general public, ladies, married women, they loved that type of performer.
It's like, oh, they love it.
In a 2003 interview, Wendy Richard fondly recalled her own experience of John Inman's broad popularity.
Walking along the street with him, and I was just a tiny bit behind him, but looking at people's faces as they walked towards him, they were all so pleased to see him. I mean, they really loved him.
My nan loved camp men, and a lot of nans loved camp men, and my nan adored John Inman. I'm free, you.
And Inman had his own particularly apt ways of dealing with his new notoriety, charmingly revealed in this early interview.
I live so much, but I can't go out into the street so easily anymore, you see, because occasionally I get a, or are you free? And I say, well, I'm not free, but I'm reasonable. And it's very exciting, really. The public are very, very nice to me.
Incredibly, neither the writers nor cast seemed to be sure about Mr. Humphrey's sexuality, as Molly Sugden thoughtfully ponders in this interview on the subject.
A lot of people have asked me, was Mr. Humphreys gay? And I don't know, it's very difficult to say.
He's never completely outed in the show. I mean, it's sort of pretty obvious he's gay, but he's camp, which is a very different thing. It's a tradition of Kenneth Williams and Larry Grayson and Frankie Howard and that heightened reality of a gay man in comedy.
John Inman played gay and camp so much, he made it an art form.
Mr. Humphreys, you're standing like that again.
Like what, Captain Peacock?
Like that.
Would you believe it? You know, I had 5 rolls of wallpaper under there.
But interestingly, in one episode, when Mr. Humphreys is propositioned by a man, he turns him down, leaving even more question marks over the character.
What else is money for? I'm rich, I live alone. Perhaps you'd like to come up to my place and have a drink. Oh, I don't think I could afford that.
In fact, the sex lives of all the characters were kept decidedly off-screen. This was 1970s Britain, where sex was absolutely not to be discussed openly, which suited an innuendo-driven show like Are You Being Served down to the ground. So, if the BBC bigwigs weren't fans of the show, didn't like the main character and didn't approve of the smut, what did they like? Well, it was cheap.
The only sets they had, really, were the shop floor, Mr. Rumbold's office, and the canteen. Occasionally, you might see them in the kitchen or maybe in another department, but you never saw them outside of the store, apart from the one episode they went to Downing Street, supposedly.
In fact, a 1975 BBC internal document specifically applauded the show for its economic use of the studio. High praise indeed. So how else were they saving money?
Are You Being Served, of course, had lots of extras. The girls in the lift, lots of other people pretending they worked there, all were shoppers. So sometimes we didn't have as many extras as we should, because that saved us a couple of £100 and we could have something else instead.
Obviously, one of the signatures of Mrs. Slocum was the different coloured hair. And there could never be 2 episodes in a series where the hair was the same colour. And in the early days, I don't think the BBC had quite the costume budget it has today, and they couldn't afford wigs. So it was up to Mum to dye her hair. And it was actually, in those days, pretty much DIY, dye your hair. So she would do rehearsals during the week, that was fine, hair could be normal. But when it came to record, at the end of the week, she had to dye her hair. And then she had to get her hair back to a normal colour, and then to a different colour in a week's time. So it was always a bit of a trauma. And some of the hairdos she turned up at school with, you know, when she was collecting us from school, were interesting, to say the least.
The need to balance the books even led to some very creative measures when it came to making sure there weren't any losses incurred between shows.
One of the dummies on the floor with the suit on, and I happened to look at the back, and the whole back of the jacket was cut in half.
It's true. To stop any prospective shoplifters in their tracks, Grace Brothers were peddling damaged goods.
One thing a lot of people don't realise when they look at that set of Are You Being Served, it's beautifully put together, isn't it? With all the clothes there. Every single item of clothing, every single garment is purposefully damaged because the BBC didn't want anyone working on the show taking home a pair of trousers.
So the Are You Being Served production team ran a tight ship. And David Croft's technique for getting the show in the can was equally efficient.
David's shows were always run as if they were theatre pieces.
You'd rehearse all day, get the lines right, get the actions right, get the effects right, get any of the props, other things right, changes of costume, whatever. Go for supper, come back, the audience would have been in by then, and you get yourself up and you would run it more or less like a theatrical production.
So if we could, David would go through a show without stopping.
David Croft hated doing retakes because you never got the same reaction from the audience twice.
It was just done slick, then all the laughter and hilarity, then on to the next take.
Time to the second in a studio, so they just had to sort of get it right first time.
The actors knew their lines, didn't fluff them. If they did, they usually got around it. And the audience reactions you got was genuine.
Showing an audience something once, twice, 3 times, the laughter gets smaller and smaller each time.
And the actor tended not to perform it as well, twice. So therefore, he would, even if something technically wasn't quite correct, you nearly always went for take 1.
Are You Being Served was allowed to get away with mistakes no other show could. Blink and you'll miss them, but it was riddled with this kind of thing.
Captain Peacock, are you free? You just can't get the right sort of people for this job nowadays.
Yes, and he's worked here for 35 years.
He never worried about a boom microphone coming in slightly into shot.
Well, look, I'll take this. He's so cack-handed.
Just a minute, let me get in position. Right, Mr. Grace, now do your speech.
It may not be technically the best take, but the reaction or the performance was the best.
And this pressure to get it right first time didn't let up even over the famous end credits sequence.
The show was sometimes quite easy to shoot, and strangely, one of the hardest things was the end. You have been watching, and quick cuts from actor to actor.
No, oh, that's right. Oh, God, some of those were embarrassing. You pull this stupid face to try and be Mr. Spooner or whatever.
And the cast had to get it right. They had to know when they were to wave at the camera or smile or whatever they were going to do. And it was a complicated 30-second sequence, which sometimes went horribly wrong.
Yes, that You Have Been Watching segment was performed live, timed to the second, and fraught with chances to go wrong. And one member of the crew has a decades-old secret to get off his chest.
As a camera assistant, I was given the opportunity by the operator to do the You Have Been Watching sequence. They were done in one take. The cameras would have their shots of the right artists, and then the vision mixer would cut the camera and the caption at the same time so that the right names appeared with the right people. I did my shot of Molly Sugden. I quickly got my shot of Alfie Bass, and then went hurtling off to do my shot of the 2 gentlemen in brown coats. Everything fell apart. The camera before me was blamed. We reset, and we did it again. Molly Sugden, Alfie Bass, the men in the brown coats. It all fell apart again. The camera after me got blamed. From a doorway, I saw Arthur English smiling. I'd missed him out. And that's why the whole thing fell apart. Thankfully, Arthur English was lovely and didn't dob me in. And after 44 years, nobody knew it was my fault until now.
And on that bombshell, coming up, the secret battle for top billing.
There was always a little bit of vying between John Inman and my mother as to who would be top billing.
And what really went on at rehearsals.
Champagne, 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 you know.
It's 1977. The Queen celebrates her Silver Jubilee. Virginia Wade wins Wimbledon. Concorde starts regular supersonic flights from London to New York. But once again, Britain's pluckiest sitcom is under threat. John Inman had been cast in a new ITV sitcom, Odd Man Out, in which he played the lead role of a man running a factory making sticks of rock. Producer David Croft was happy to carry on making the show without Inman. But in a U-turn that would give even government ministers whiplash, the BBC, who had previously wanted Mr. Humphreys out, now insisted that he stayed in.
They quickly realised that he was the pivotal character. It became his show, really.
John Inman stayed, but it was clear that he'd become the show's breakout star. When the series first started, Trevor Bannister and Molly Sugden shared top billing, leading to a very diplomatic game of swapsies between who appeared first in the famous "You Have Been Watching" end credits. But as the series progressed and Mr. Humphreys became a fan favourite, friction began to creep in, leading to some scandalous manoeuvrings with a publicity poster.
Of course, there was always a little bit of professional rivalry, and there was always a little bit of sort of vying between John Inman and my mother as to who would be top billing. And I think secretly they both considered themselves the star of the show. And I remember it sort of not coming to a head, but actually being most visible when they did a summer season where they took Are You Being Served on the stage at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. It was agreed that Mum would be top left, and traditionally, top left was the top billing on our poster. But this poster was specially arranged so that there was Molly top left, Frank Thornton top right, but John Inman slightly higher and in the middle. And I remember there being a little bit of sort of spitting about that.
1976 was a bumper year for Inman, being named both BBC TV Personality of the Year and TV Times Reader's Funniest Man on Television. And his growing profile meant he was able to get away with a spot of on-set misbehaviour.
There was a fair bit of improvising in rehearsals. The odd line would go in, or a move that was not in the script but was a funny thing to do. So actors would, particularly John, would want to try something in the rehearsal room and we'd keep it in.
It was either John or Molly Sugden, and they would be so ridiculously funny that no one could speak. We'd spend half an hour just hysterical, laughing, falling about, and then suddenly they'd be off and into character like that.
Occasionally, he'd try it on the crew run because he knew he'd keep it in and you would get a laugh from everybody.
John used to make the odd fluff, and I was never too sure if it was on purpose, because the audience love it when you fluff, but he was just naughty. Naughty but nice.
In 1980, the show took another break to allow Inman the chance to star in the Australian version of Are You Being Served without his colleagues.
Jeremy Lloyd and John Inman went over. Jeremy Lloyd as obviously co-writer and sort of executive producer to make sure it was all done properly. And John Inman, they wanted John Inman, but then they surrounded John Inman with an all-Australian cast. And it's an interesting experiment.
He's taking it seriously, even a senior salesman's Homburg. Bet that set him back a bit.
Oh, you look very smart, Mr. Humphreys.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Crawford. When I left this morning, my landlady burst into tears on the doorstep.
Oh, I expect it was because she was so proud of you.
Yes, that, coupled with the fact that I'd spent the rent on a new act.
Didn't quite work out because, you know, the dynamic is not there. There's a sort of Captain Peacock's type character. There's a Mrs. Slocum type character. But without Frank Thornton and Molly Sugden, it doesn't quite hang together. But no, it's an interesting experiment and just proof positive of the international appeal of the show.
Inman returned for another 4 series back in Britain. But But despite the odd bit of professional friction, there was no doubting that Are You Being Served was always a team effort.
Are You Being Served was an ensemble piece, which was very much David Croft's sort of forte.
And he's very keen on the morale of the cast, that it should be good, and it always was with him.
In fact, the cast had their own unique ways of dealing with any difficulties which arose.
And I recall that when they were recording the German week, during rehearsals, Frank Thornton used to have to slap my mother as part of the dance. And I think he was getting a bit enthusiastic and slapping maybe a little bit more vigorously. So one day my mother put some Tic Tacs in her mouth. And when he slapped her, she spat them out like she'd lost a couple of teeth. And I think he got the message after that and was a bit less vigorous.
At first, the tic-tac tactics seemed to work, although those slaps are looking pretty realistic by the end.
You don't do it like that. You're supposed to be gentle.
I was gentle. I just went like that.
You did not. You went like that.
I did not go like that.
Well, next time I shall go like that.
In that case, I shall go like that.
Two can play that game.
There's mutual respect for their own sort of expertise in terms of playing that high-octane comedy farce, really. And there's a real love for each other. They all got on so well.
They were, to a fault, a lovely gang.
They were very close-knit. And I think that's one of the secrets of David Croft's skills, that he manages to get a well-knit cast.
According to show insiders, this camaraderie continued when the cameras weren't rolling, including some legendary behind-the-scenes parties.
When they weren't working, they met up, usually in John Inman's attic, which was called his party room, and had a bar in one corner, and they were great mates.
And they became friends. And, you know, they socialised with each other. You know, my mum and dad were very, very good hosts, and they used to have parties in their home. And invariably, the cast of Are You Being Served would turn up.
Wendy Richard and Molly Sugden had birthdays very close to each other, so, you know, they'd take it in turns about who would get the champagne and the cakes organised and that sort of stuff. And it was a family.
Despite their enormous fame, the big-name stars made sure to make newcomers feel welcome.
When I went the first day, I can't really describe it, except it was like going into somebody's front room with all the family there, because everybody knew each other, and I was terribly nervous, you can imagine. And they all knew each other, and it was just another day at the office. But for me, can you imagine what it was like being with all these iconic actors? There was John Inman, Frank Thornton, Nicholas Smith, Wendy Richards, and I was just in awe, and I thought, my God, how am I ever going to open my mouth and say anything?
And on screen, here's Louise's character getting a typically over-friendly welcome.
What's your name?
Virginia Edwards.
That's a nice name. You're a lively little thing.
Would you like to see my curriculum vitae?
Not at 10:30 in the morning. Come and sit on my knee. Good. You're not too heavy.
Has anyone got the number for HR?
Everybody was so nice and chatty and friendly, and I just sort of fitted in. It was fantastic.
When you join a show that had been running for a long time, they all know each other, so you're the new kid on the block. So therefore, you have to stand back and you have to sort of fill the room, really. There was no starriness about any of them. You became part of the gang, which was actually very lovely.
And we can disclose that one guest star narrowly avoided complete on-screen humiliation thanks to an eagle-eyed crew member. 70s pop star Jess Conrad made a memorable appearance as a golf pro in some criminally tight trousers.
Look at him swinging those big shoulders. Oh, and he's got such a lovely smile. I love a man with a lovely smile. Oh, he's so handsome.
When I guest starred in it, I played sort of Jess Conrad, the glamorous Jess Conrad. You know, the tight trousers and the teeth and the barnet and everything and all the glam.
Jess Conrad in the show played a professional golfer.
Jess looked absolutely perfect. There was one thing wrong, is that Jess didn't know how to swing a golf club.
I'm supposed to know all about golf. I didn't really.
He'd said he played golf at the audition. I remember it.
I'm just a sort of poser. I know I look good in the gear, and that's where it ends.
Costume, not knowing whether he was left-handed or right-handed, had bought two gloves.
I was offered a black glove and a white glove, and I've got the white glove on, and we're just about to do a take when a chippy walks past, and he went, "Governor," that's what he's called, the director, "your so-called golf pro has got his glove on the wrong hand." Show business. Ding!
Crisis averted, Jess was able to show Mr. Humphreys a thing or two about swinging. Control yourselves.
Ever been round a golf course? Once or twice.
And he then took the cast and crew for a quick thank you drink, which revealed a thing or two about Wendy Richard's preferred tipple.
Actors love to drink. Actresses love to drink. And I asked Wendy what she wanted.
And it wasn't a pint, it was champagne.
"What would you like, darling? Champagne?" "Oh, yes, of course." Yes, she drank champagne like it was going out of fashion. "Only 2 bottles, sir." "Oh, fine, that's fine, yes."
And it kept coming, and kept coming, and kept coming.
Champagne, 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 you know. That was lunch.
And we were all thinking, how much is this costing? John Inman's going, how much are they paying him then?
So that was a lesson well learnt. But she was well worth it. I mean, she was a great girl.
Sadly, Wendy Richard's upbeat performance masked a tragic and difficult personal life.
Well, she didn't want to get married the first time. She had no intention of getting married, but she had been... Her mum wasn't well, and she was... Wendy was running her B&B for her. And when her mum passed away, she just didn't want to be on her own. So she rushed into this first marriage. I think it lasted a matter of months, and that was over. But the second one, he used to knock her about constantly. She told me about it, and it was horrible.
Thankfully, Wendy was able to share her suffering with her friends in the cast and crew, including the makeup department, who were sometimes called on to disguise her injuries.
She used to have to go even onto the set, covering up the bruises so no one would realise what she'd been through.
Coming up, new ideas are out of stock at Grace Brothers.
I remember John Inman saying, "Oh, we've done this and we've done this."
And the cunning plan to disguise the lack of fresh plots.
Suddenly, all of the cast would do a song and dance number at the end of each episode for no particularly brilliant reason.
It's 1985. Britain's first mobile phone network is launched. The Live Aid concerts take place. And as Are You Being Served enters its final series, there's no denying that Grace Brothers belongs to a vanished world, despite some outlandishly hair-raising attempts to stay current.
What happened? When I borrowed my mother's little three-wheeler, we had to go to this party in Peckham.
And we couldn't go on the bus because it was fancy dress.
I would never have guessed.
I think a lot of people feel like the sitcom outstayed its welcome because it went on for an incredible number of series.
Are You Being Served had truly become the show which the BBC just couldn't get rid of. The commissioning of Series 9 is one of the most astonishing pieces of wheeling and dealing in sitcom history.
There was a gap in the schedule. So David Croft went to the head of comedy and said, why don't we do Are You Being Served in this gap? And he said, well, you'll never get the actors. And the cast were all available, luckily. You'll never write the scripts. Oh, we've got 4 of them already. They hadn't, but... And then the head of comedy said, well, the scenery's being destroyed. And he said, no, it hasn't. I bought it from the BBC. It's in my barn. So we had the scenery, we had the actors, and we were filling this gap at quite short notice, really. And the actors were astonished because 3-4 years earlier, they thought they'd done the last ever episode.
People still loved it, people still adored it, it still got good viewing figures, but it did become repetitive.
I remember John Inman saying, oh, we've done this and we've done this. They were running out of ideas. They were coming round, and John was one that picked up on it first.
By the time it got to something like Series 9, they were reusing a lot of plots that had been in the original episodes.
Certainly, some of the jokes were being recycled.
And 3 teas.
Which is which?
The teas is the one with the froth on top.
Is this coffee? I thought it was tea.
No, the tea's the one with the froth on it.
And reviewers also noted the lack of fresh ideas. In the show's final year, the Sunday Express lamented that it served the BBC well for years, but as the plots grew thin, it became a parade of pantomime personalities. Even David Croft admitted in his autobiography that plots were getting far-fetched, or else were thinly disguised rehashes of previous shows. Where Happy Days jumped the shark, Are You Being Served souped the frog. In an episode where the shop staff, for some reason, trade places with the canteen staff, visual effects supremo Matt Irvin worked his magic for a plotline that required a pretty major leap of the imagination for viewers.
There was a pets department. A frog escapes, apparently, and he ends up in young Mr. Grace's soup.
Here's your soup, Mr. Grace. Real turtle.
Oh, well, good. I like something with a bit of body in it.
And incredibly, the technology he created still works after all these years. So we can reveal some of the behind-the-scenes magic that went into creating this memorable moment.
We have a bowl we fill with soup. Here, we had a basket which had the bread rolls hiding what you can see here, the radio control. Inside the bowl, we had the frog. And on cue, it would pop its head out of the soup and then back down again.
The bowl is very full. Don't drink all of it or you won't have room for what's to come.
Hey, I'm operating the frog, and the frog's pretty, and he gets a laugh from the audience. You get a laugh from the audience. Even better if he gets a laugh from the camera crew. That's even better. I've done that before now. I've got a laugh from the camera crew. I won that one.
As the plot lines grew increasingly bonkers, like a surreal storyline where Mrs. Slocum loses her memory and reverts to her childhood self, the cast and crew were pulling out all the stops, including Molly Sugden, who, in the fine tradition of Tom Cruise, gamely did all her own stunts.
Desperation is a theory. What can you do to make it different from the episode previously? So let's go more outrageous, let's do this, let's try that.
As the show entered its final 3 series, not even the introduction of a new character in the form of pop star Mike Berry was enough to lift the increasingly outlandish plots.
You think it had been going for 7 years before I even joined it. They must have been really fed up with it. But they weren't, you see.
When Mike Berry came in and played Mr. Spooner, he was a breath of fresh air, a really accomplished actor, but also an accomplished singer. Unfortunately, they skewed a lot of the plots to become musicals, so suddenly all of the cast would don these funny costumes and they'd do a song and dance number at the end of each episode for no particularly brilliant reason.
And by the final episode, the Grace Brothers staff, whose original purpose had been to run a clothing department, were attempting to break into the pop industry.
I've just had a call from a record company, and apparently they're considering signing Spooner up. So, of course, we'll reinstate him. This could be very good publicity for our department.
When the doors to Grace Brothers finally closed in 1985, the long-awaited climax, seriously now, come on, that's enough, was a surreal musical performance featuring the whole cast.
I think I Being Served survived for so long because there was something for everyone.
Click in, forget your troubles, and just, be entertained by these wonderful comedy actors.
It was a fantasy land, so therefore you could get away with lots of things.
In the face of scandalous demands, secret snobbery, and plenty of behind-the-scenes shenanigans, the whopping 10 series of Are You Being Served were a victory.
It was just fabulous, fabulous fun and great times.
Halcyon days of British sitcom, just one of them, really.
I'm just sorry it ended, but it had to. It just had to end. But I loved every minute of it. It was just like a holiday, really, with your mates.
Their sole intention was to amuse us. It was to make us laugh, and they did. They did it in a way that we can't do it now.
If you or someone you know has been affected by any of the issues raised in tonight's programme, please go to channel5.com/helplines for information and support. And Mrs. Slocum and the gang are off to the Costa Plonca for some holiday fun in the sun next in Are You Being Served, the movie.